We've got Ten of Swords, New Mutants number 13, part 7 of this 22, 24, whatever we want to call it, event. Ten of Swords, Ed Brisson, Rod Rice, Cypher, old Doug Ramsey gets himself a sword. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, this is Perch. Ten of Swords. This is, first of all, this is a beautiful looking comic. I think Rod Rice is kind of unsung hero here of the artist. Tom Mueller gets involved as well with some of the design, but this is really a gorgeous looking comic. No matter how you cut it, whatever you want to say about it, it really looks nice. And I'm saddened to, there has not been nearly enough Rod Rice on this comic, or any comic for that matter. And I wish there was more of it. I think he fits kind of both New Mutants. It reminds me of a lot of that early New Mutants feel with the Demon Bear and all the rest of that stuff. Really nice colors. Anyway, great stuff. But the comic itself, we're at this phase in Ten of Swords where basically we're trying to get everybody a sword. So the mutants of Krakoa are running around trying to get swords. Personally, this is moving at a pretty slow pace. I think we've got a couple issues left before we get to Stasis, and after Stasis, we're supposed to get to the contest. So they're going to have to whip through the next 5. We get through Cable, which will be another review, but then we got 5 more folks that got to get their swords and then hurry up, and we're going to miss their stories. So they've decompressed certain aspects of this, and we're going to have to burn through the rest pretty quickly. But anyway, this is a Doug Ramsey-centered story, which I'm grateful to. At least it is very much New Mutants. Our comic opens, we get Ilana Magic, and she's talking to Cable and Cyclops. This is a scene that's going to be mirrored in the Cable book that was also out this week. But basically, they're off on a little mission, and Cable needs to hurry up and show up with a sword. It says magic, and so then there we go. He's got to show up. And Cyclops is talking to Ilana about other plans that maybe they need to, and they're talking somewhat in code. Throughout all this, which is, it reflects the new relationship between Cyclops and Magic that really has not gotten anywhere close to enough airtime throughout all this. I think that's been one of those kind of interesting aspects of Krakoa and the new state that I find pretty interesting that they haven't really done much with. But anyway, we transfer from that to Doug, and Doug is kind of he's perplexed because he knows he's not a sword fighter. He knows he's probably in some trouble with all this, and he's chatting with Warlock, who's kind of been left a bit of a secret, but it's funny because this isn't a secret to the readers. It's been kind of, clear, but you forgot that, hey, in storyline, they were kind of keeping Warlock a secret on all this, which is, it's an indication that there's a couple seeds that were planted early on in Dawn of X that really never went anywhere, or they never really put a lot of effort toward. And it's funny because I'm not asking for things to be decompressed more, but then you get to these points where they need to just hurry up and catch up on some of this stuff. And then it's like, oh yeah, there's that plot point, that plot line. Anyway, Doug thinks he's going in for a suicide mission, but he still believes he needs to do it. Warlock reassures him by saying, I'm going to be your sword. I'll make no harm come to you. And kind of creates a sword and an arm. And he's got this living sword. So Doug's going to go and kind of chop some things down, but Krakoa reminds him, hey, dude, that's me. So Ilana basically says, I'm going to train you on how to fight. So she immediately proceeds to kind of beat the crap on him, and just basically kick and punch and say, you're going to die if you can't get your shit together. And so, we learned a little bit about the Soul Sword, but by and large, that's the plan. Now, Krakoa, seeing Doug suck at sword fighting, brings up to the Quiet Council, hey, you know what? Maybe we should, not have him do this. He shouldn't, he's the conduit between the island and the Quiet Council and the other people. Doug is pretty key to all this. Let's not send him out on a mission where he's going to die. And, so Doug's like, no, I was chosen, dude. This is my choice to make. I want to go out there and do this. And they're like, but you suck, bro. And so they kind of go back and forth and argue about all this. And finally they get to, hey, Mr. Sinister's plan, hopefully that plan works. I mean, we know it won't, but hopefully that plan works to go steal the sword, which is a really dumb plan. It does provide more emphasis and weight on what's going on in Hellions, which is cool on one hand, but it also kind of then underscores that Hellions plays for comedy with jokes about Sinister's cape and other things, and so it's tonally, we're shifting to something much more serious, that there's real consequences if Doug loses. So they continue to fight. Doug continues to suck, and they go back and forth and back and forth. And Liana puts the sword into her hair, which is some pretty crazy stuff. And Doug's still kind of struggling with they think they don't know the stakes. If you're an old New Mutants reader, particularly around Fall to Mutants, this is one of the things about Doug, is that he wanted to be in the action, and his friends were always trying to protect him from things. So this is a callback to that. On one hand, that's kind of cool to see, because it's some good nostalgia for the 80s and kind of Doug's relationship with his team members. On the other hand, it reminds you that like 30 years have gone by with very little character development from Doug, which is a shame. So at any rate, old Exodus shows up and says, hey, I've got a plan. I'm just going to kill you, and then I'll take your place. And then I'll be the person who fights for Krakoa, and you can get to, you'll resurrect. They'll resurrect you, dude, because you're important. And so, but at any rate, Warlock jumps in to defend him, say, hey, I'm going to do this. But it's a good confidence blow to old Doug of saying, you suck, and everybody thinks you suck. And so to kind of reinforce that point further, Doug's just trying to get a little Napo in, and in comes Mondo, who at times, but Krakoa doesn't like it, talks through Mondo's belly and basically says, hey, you're too important, you're going to lose, I don't want you to die, let's put you in exile, I don't like to do it. So Doug's like, no, dude, I'm serious. It's like the third time he said it. I want to do this, I'm up for it, I can do it, I can't hide. Please let me do it. I'll be good. And he convinces Krakoa to he's going to go ahead and do this. So Doug then goes in for another little fight, gets a little bit better against Magic, but she's kind of holding back to let him win, and she's now on to a different strategy, kind of building up his confidence, and then decides, nah, I'm gonna just say, you're probably gonna die if you raise that sword in Otherworld. Then it'll be the last thing you ever do, and there's not a damn thing you can do to stop it. And that's where our story ends. So it's a feel-good ending here, basically reinforcing that Doug is probably in a lot of trouble and going to die in this tournament. So that's some good stuff right there. So overall, this is, it's funny because as an entire chapter in this event, it does feel like a lot of attention. And the fact that they go back to the well, 3 different times to kind of, inform Doug that he's not going to be able to do this, it's setting up kind of either that Doug's going to prove them all wrong. They go the 80s movie route where, he overcomes the obstacles and he saves the day, gets the girl, or it's setting up that he's going to get murdered pretty damn good, and then he'll come back as a different version of himself, or maybe that'll present another kind of interesting aspect of the whole thing. It'd be a little bit on the nose for the storytellers and the X-Office to kill him off, and then that troubles the relationship between the mutants and Krakoa, and that it sets things on a wrong path. That'd be a little bit too on the nose for them to do that. But hey, who knows? Maybe that's where they're going. I appreciate it again, this issue. I appreciate Brisson and Rice giving us some nice nods to the past continuity of the New Mutants. I think Doug is an interesting character that nobody really ever seems to know what to do with. He kind of shows up and they have him explain stuff, and he's smart, and then they kind of like, oh yeah, but he can't fight and fire laser beams, so let's kind of forget about him for a little while. He tends to be the kind of this thing that just shows up when necessary and then vanishes. So I like seeing this attention. Interesting to see the progression of Magic and kind of where she's gone. There's a lot of good stuff in here. It is, again, it's one chapter in a long event, and it does beg the question of, are they just going to speed through some of the other people who are coming into this? And we will find out. But what about you? Did you like it, hate it? How did you feel about this? How are you feeling about this event in general and how it's progressing? Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Most importantly, though, thanks for listening.